Today, we'll be talking about the natural planning process. Okay, hey, let's get this thing started. So, what's the first thing we need to do is think about is I have a point A, right? And I want to get to point B. But what about this in between? Well, we have point B and that's our goals. And then we have point A, which is our purpose. And then after we have this purpose as goals thing, we sort of move on to the section of what's the in between. So the first thing we have is going to be streamed out from this little area right here, and I have a brainstorm. So this is sort of like the vomit of ideas. Throw everything you have out there, silly, whatever, it doesn't matter, because you can always throw it away later. Just a giant brainstorm, whatever comes to mind, just toss it out there. Have it out there, get it out of your mind. It's there. And then once you figure out that, you want to organize those ideas that you've just gotten from your brainstorm. Like, who knows? There's things that you may not need, so you just want to go ahead and throw it away so it's not in the way, right? So organize ideas, put them in order. You can put them in steps 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. You just want the steps there so you can sort of a guideline to work through. And once you finish organizing, you're gonna move on. You're gonna figure out what's your next action plan. So what do I need to do now, right? Uh, so my next action plan. It'd be really great if next action just went ahead and went straight down to goals. You know, like this guy looks real happy, like, oh, I'm gonna go straight to my goals. But it sort of doesn't work that way, as we all know. It just doesn't. It'd be great, but it doesn't. Look, he's already walking off the path to who knows where. And to realize that that's not gonna happen, and it ends up being like this. Okay, now I'm gonna go back and sort of reiterate what I've already talked about with an example of a project and then how it relates back to GTD. Let's say I have my purpose, which is to find more clean energy, right? Let's have this little green light bulb over here. Clean green energy. And then I have my goals of, let's say, creating a energy efficient generator powered by salt water and solar power. So here's a little generator in this corner over here. Sorry, it looks really bad, but it's just an idea. And then after that, I'll have to do brainstorming. And brainstorming can actually take a lot of thought, I feel like, because you have to think of all the things that come to mind. I mean, it's not a lot of hard work, but throw as much as you can out there so you don't have to worry about later. So think of things like materials, money, other ways to make your thing self-sufficient. What's the science behind it? How does it work? Best materials to use. Um, and do I need to make a scale model of this? Can I find someone to help me fund my idea? There's Okay, so now that you've completed brainstorming, you want to sort of put these things in order. So you have sort of a guideline and a plan to go off of. So let's say the first thing I want to do is going to be finding out how this actually works. What's the science behind all of this, right? And then the second thing I want to do is sketch a plan out. And then third, what are the best materials to use? 4, make a small scale model. 5, test it. Test my model out, see if it works. Then 6, find someone to help me fund this idea. And then 7, just hope for success because I want this idea to work. I really do want it to work. Yeah, so make that a point on your list. Hope for success. Okay, so now that you finish that, the next thing you want to move on to is your like next action. So you can go a variety of ways, there's a bunch of routes, but you always want to end up back to your goals. You may end up off the path who knows how many times, but in the end, you really just want to end up back at goals. For example, for my next action, for my first one, I want to make sure um, that I want to research everything just to make sure I can figure out what needs to be done. Like, for example, I can research what kind of materials work best. What's the cost, durability, conductivity? Does it oxidize? What are the costs between manufacturers? And you would just make sub bullet points under these next action steps for things for you to consider or other things for you to do. Okay, so now that we have this process out here, I feel like this process is closely related to the GTD method of getting things done. I feel like this itself could be a very big component of it. For example, my purpose in brainstorming is sort of like my inbox. It's just stuff I sort of just throw out there. And then when I'm processing stuff, that'd be like organizing. I'm getting it together, figuring out what needs to be thrown away, what I need to reference, what I need to do with it. Are any of these things actionable? And then after that, I figure out my next actions for those tasks. And then I move on through sort of like the project making process of doing things as well. And it sort of just fits in perfectly, honestly, with the GTD method. And everyone works differently, so you can go of all different types of constraints. There's just different routes you can do things, whatever works best for you, because everyone's different, and you'll have to figure that out on your own. But for the most part, this actually does sort of work. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the video. I hope it worked out well. Hope you learned something new. But I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks.